The space station, called Harmony's Edge, floated in the darkness between stars. It was huge, bigger than most moons. Ships from many worlds docked at its metal arms like insects on a giant flower. Today was special. Today, the Galactic Council would decide if humans could join their group. Captain Jahoon Kim stood on the bridge of his ship, Soul's Pride. Through the big window, he could see the alien ships. They were everywhere. Some looked like crystals that caught starlight. Others moved like living things with too many arms. The human ship looked tiny next to them. "Captain," said Lieutenant Taman Kang from his seat, "we're getting more messages from the alien fleets. They want to know why Earth only sent 3 ships." Jihoon almost smiled. 3 ships seemed like nothing to these aliens. They had hundreds. Each alien race brought enough firepower to destroy planets. The humans brought Soul's Pride and 2 escort ships that looked like toys next to the alien monsters. "Tell them we came to talk, not to fight," Jihoon said. Ambassador Minji Park walked onto the bridge. She wore her best diplomatic uniform, but Jihoon could see the worry in her eyes. Today would decide humanity's future. Either they would join the galaxy as equals, or they would be left alone in the dark. "The alien delegates are ready to meet," Minji said. 5 species. All of them have been in space longer than humans have existed. Commander Do-hyun Lee looked up from his tactical display. "Their weapon readings are impressive. Each of their main ships could take on our entire fleet." Jihoon nodded. He had seen the numbers. The crystalline Velthari had ships that could channel star power into weapons. The insect-like Krix had living ships that could split into thousands of fighters. The water-breathing Mordani built their weapons to work in the crushing depths of gas-giant atmospheres. The lizard-like Zektar made ships with armor so thick that most weapons just bounced off. And the ghostly Sinari could control their ships with their minds. "Remember," Minji said, "we're here to prove that humans deserve a place in the galaxy. Stay calm no matter what they say." The shuttle trip to the station took 20 minutes. Jihoon, Minji, and Do-hyun sat quietly as they flew between the alien ships. Each one was a work of art and terror. The Velthari ships looked like floating cathedrals made of crystal and light. The Krix ships pulsed with organic life, their hulls breathing like giant lungs. The Mordani vessels dripped with water that somehow didn't freeze in space. The Zektar ships were black metal fortresses covered in gun barrels. The Sinari ships seemed to fade in and out of reality. The docking bay of Harmony's Edge was bigger than most human cities. Their shuttle looked like a toy as it landed. Alien workers moved cargo with technology that seemed like magic. Some lifted heavy containers with their minds. Others used gravity beams that made things float. The main meeting room was designed for many different types of beings. Some seats were filled with water for the Mordani. Others had special atmosphere for species that breathed different gases. The human section looked plain and simple. The alien delegates were already waiting. Admiral Korath of the Zektar was huge, covered in scales and scars. His uniform was decorated with the bones of his enemies. Hive Mind Nexus Kelix spoke for the Krix, but it was really thousands of minds thinking as one. The Velthari sent crystalline Lord Velthis, who seemed to be made of living light. Deep singer Morgan represented the Mordani, her voice creating ripples in the water around her seat. The Sinari delegate was hardest to see, existing half in this reality and half somewhere else. "So," Admiral Korath said, his voice like grinding stone, "these are the humans. They look even weaker than our reports said." The other aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Keelix's compound eyes focused on the humans like they were insects. Their technology readings show primitive chemical rockets and basic metal alloys. How did they even reach this station? We came here to discuss membership in the Galactic Council, Minji said with perfect diplomatic calm. Earth has much to offer. Offer? Velthus's voice rang like crystal bells. Your entire military could not damage one of our patrol ships. What could you possibly offer besides raw materials and labor? Do-hyun's hand moved slightly toward his weapon, but Ji-hoon gave him a small signal to stay calm. These aliens were trying to make them angry. It was a test. Perhaps we could start with introductions, Minji suggested. We would be honored to learn about your capabilities. This made the aliens happy. They loved talking about how powerful they were. Admiral Korath spoke first. The Zektar Empire controls 200 star systems. Our dreadnoughts carry enough firepower to crack moons. Our armor is forged from the hearts of dead stars. No enemy has ever broken through our defenses. Kylix was next. The Krix Collective thinks with one mind across 1,000,000 bodies. Our bioships grow stronger after every battle. We have consumed entire enemy fleets, adding their technology to our own. The bragging continued. Each alien species tried to sound more impressive than the last. They talked about weapons that could destroy planets, defenses that had never been broken, and fleets that stretched across star systems. Dr. Sunho Choi, the human scientist, took careful notes. He looked fascinated by their technology, asking innocent questions that made the aliens reveal even more details. They were so proud that they didn't realize they were giving away military secrets. And what about humans? Deep Singer Morgan asked. What weapons do you bring to this alliance? The room went quiet. All eyes turned to the human delegation. Ji-hoon could feel the weight of their stares. We bring our willingness to learn and work together, Minji said. Humans are good at solving problems and adapting to new situations. The aliens burst into laughter. Even the normally silent Sinari delegates seemed amused. Solving problems? Admiral Korath roared. Wars are not solved with good intentions. They are won with superior firepower. Your escort ships register less energy output than our shuttlecraft, Velthus added. How can you protect anything? Engineer Hee-jin Yoon, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Our ships may not look like much, but they get the job done. Sometimes the best solution is the simple one. Simple? Keelix buzzed with amusement. Space warfare requires complexity. Multiple weapon systems, redundant defenses, adaptive tactics. Your ships have none of these. Ji-hoon watched the aliens dismiss humanity with growing confidence. They saw 3 small ships and assumed that was all humans had. They looked at peaceful diplomats and thought humans were weak. Perhaps, Admiral Korath said, leaning forward. Humans would be better served as a protected species. We could offer you safety in exchange for your planet's resources. You would not need to worry about military matters. The other aliens agreed quickly. Protected status meant humans would be servants, not equals. They would mine asteroids and grow food while the real species made the important decisions. That is generous, Minji said carefully, but we would prefer to earn our membership through demonstration of our capabilities. What capabilities? Deep Singer Morgan laughed, creating bubbles in her water tank. You have nothing to demonstrate. Ji-hoon's communicator buzzed quietly. A message from Earth Command. He read it without changing expression, then looked at his watch. Actually, he said, we might surprise you. The aliens looked at each other and laughed again. These humans were entertaining with their delusions of strength. Admiral Korath stood up, his massive frame casting shadows across the room. Very well, little humans. Tomorrow we will show you what real warships look like. Perhaps then you will understand why you need our protection. The meeting ended with the aliens still chuckling. As the humans left, they could hear the delegates already planning how to divide up Earth's resources. But Captain Ji-hoon Kim was not worried. His watch showed exactly 23 hours until the demonstration. Earth Command's message had been very clear. Package arriving on schedule. The aliens thought they knew everything about human capabilities. Tomorrow, they would learn how wrong they were. The alien quarters on Harmony's edge were designed to make visitors feel important. Each species had special rooms that matched their home worlds. The Zektar section was hot and dry like a desert. The Mordani area was filled with water tanks and humid air. The Velthari rooms sparkled with artificial starlight. The human quarters were simple and plain. 3 small rooms with basic furniture and recycled air. Admiral Korath had made sure to point this out during the tour. Even their living spaces show how primitive they are, he told the other alien leaders as they walked past the human section. No environmental controls, no gravity manipulation, no mental enhancement fields. They live like animals. Dr. Sun Ho. Choi sat in the main human room, reviewing the technical data the aliens had shared. His tablet was full of weapon specifications, shield frequencies, and tactical information. The aliens had been so eager to show off that they had given him enough data to write a complete military analysis. They really think we're no threat, he said to engineer Hyejin Yoon. Look at this. Complete technical readouts of their main weapons systems. Power levels, charging times, weak points. They're not even trying to hide anything. Hyejin looked over his shoulder at the screen. The Velthari energy weapons are impressive, but they need time to charge. The Krix bioships are fast but vulnerable to certain frequencies. The Mordani plasma systems work great underwater but have problems in vacuum. And the Zektar? Sunho asked. Brute force. Heavy armor and big guns. Very straightforward. The Sinari are the most interesting, though. Mental control systems that could be disrupted if you knew the right approach. Lieutenant Taemin Kang walked in with a data pad. More messages from the alien fleets. They're positioning their ships around the station in formation. Each species is trying to look more impressive than the others. Through the small window, they could see the alien ships arranging themselves. The Velthari crystal ships caught light from the distant star and threw it back in brilliant beams. The Krix bioships pulsed with organic rhythms, their living hulls changing color. The Mordani vessels leaked streams of water that froze into beautiful ice sculptures. The Zektar dreadnoughts moved like floating fortresses, black and threatening. The Sinari ships faded in and out of sight, appearing where they weren't expected. Impressive, Hyejin admitted. But notice how they're arranged. Classic formation for species that have never fought each other. They're showing off, not preparing for real combat. Captain Ji-hoon Kim entered the room with Commander Do-hyun Lee. Both men looked tired but alert. They had spent hours in meetings with alien officials who treated them like children. How did the technical briefings go? Sunho asked. They told us everything, Do-hyun said with amazement. Weapons capabilities, defensive systems, fleet compositions. They even gave us detailed tactical manuals. They want us to understand how outclassed we are. The Zektar admiral showed me his personal war room, Ji-hoon added. Complete strategic displays of their military positions across 200 star systems. He said he wanted humans to appreciate the protection they would provide. Taman looked up from his console. Speaking of Admiral Korath, he's been sending messages to the other fleets. I've been monitoring their communications. What are they saying? Ji-hoon asked. Mostly jokes about humans. They're betting on how long it will take us to surrender tomorrow. The Krix think we'll give up as soon as we see their main battleship. The Velthari are betting we'll try to run away. Sunho shook his head. They really don't understand humans at all. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Ji-hoon checked his secure communicator. Another message from Earth Command. He read it quickly, his expression not changing. Any word from home? Hyejin asked carefully. They all knew the captain was in contact with Earth, but they didn't know. The details. Everything is on schedule, Ji-hoon said simply. Outside their window, the alien fleets continued their display. The Velthari had arranged their ships to create a light show, energy beams dancing between their crystal hulls. The Krix bioships were performing synchronized movements, thousands of vessels moving like a school of fish. The Mordani ships sprayed water in elaborate patterns that caught the starlight. The Zektar dreadnoughts fired practice shots at empty space, showing the power of their main guns. The Sinari ships appeared and disappeared in impossible patterns. They want us to be impressed, Do-yun observed. We should act impressed, Ji-hoon said. Let them think their show is working. Ambassador Minji Park joined them, looking exhausted, from her own meetings. The formal negotiations were interesting. They've already drawn up protection agreements, very detailed. They want exclusive mining rights to our asteroid belt, agricultural quotas from our farming worlds, and military, basing rights on our moon. Military bases, Taman asked. For what? To protect us, of course, Minji said with bitter humor. They're concerned about our safety. Apparently there are dangerous species in this part of the galaxy that might threaten primitive civilizations, like ours. How generous of them, Sunho muttered. The terms are actually not terrible considering, Minji continued. We would get full protection, access to some of their technology and trade agreements. The only cost is our independence. Hyejin pulled up a display of the station's layout. I've been studying the power systems here. Fascinating technology, but not as advanced as they pretend. Most of it is just scaled-up versions of basic principles. Big and impressive, but not necessarily better. That's humanity's advantage, Do-yun said. We've learned to do more with less. These aliens have never had to be efficient. Another message chimed on Ji-hoon's communicator. This one made him check his watch carefully. 18 hours, he said quietly. The others knew better than to ask. What would happen in 18 hours? But they could all feel something building. The aliens thought tomorrow would be a simple demonstration of their superiority. The humans knew better. Outside, Admiral Korath's flagship began broadcasting on all frequencies. His image appeared on screens throughout the station. Citizens of the galaxy, his voice boomed. Tomorrow you will witness the true power of the Galactic Council. 5 great civilizations will demonstrate why we have maintained peace for 1,000 years. No enemy has ever challenged our combined might and survived. The other alien leaders appeared beside him on the screen. Crystalline Lord Velthis spoke in her bell-like voice. The primitive humans will see what real technology looks like. Perhaps then they will appreciate the protection we offer. Hive Mind Nexus. Helix buzzed with collective amusement. Tomorrow will be educational for the newcomers. They will learn their place in the galactic order. Deep singer Morgan's voice created ripples across the screen. Young species often mistake our patience for weakness. Tomorrow's demonstration will correct this misunderstanding. The Scinari delegate spoke without moving its mouth, the words appearing directly in viewers' minds. Reality has many layers. Tomorrow the humans will see through their illusions. The broadcast ended with shots of the alien fleets in all their glory. Hundreds of massive warships arranged in perfect formations, weapons that could crack planets, defenses that had never been broken, technology that seemed like magic. In the human quarters, the small delegation watched in silence. "They're really proud of themselves," Taman observed. "Pride comes before the fall," Jihoon said quietly. "What was that, Captain?" Minji asked. "An old human saying, it means that overconfidence can be dangerous." Hyejin was studying the tactical data again. "You know, there's something interesting about their fleet positions. They're arranged for maximum visual impact, not maximum tactical effectiveness. If they were really worried about security, they wouldn't position their ships like this." "They're not worried about anything," Sunho said. "They think they're the strongest force in the galaxy. They've probably been the strongest force for so long that they've forgotten what real competition looks like." "That could be a problem for them," Do-hyun said with a slight smile. Jihoon's communicator chimed one more time. He read the message and nodded to himself. 15 hours, he said. Outside, the alien fleets continued their displays of power. They had no idea that everything was about to change. Deep in space, beyond the range of their sensors, something was moving toward Harmony's edge. Something that would make the aliens reconsider everything they thought they knew about humanity. But, for now, the humans waited and watched and let the aliens enjoy their moment of superiority. Tomorrow would be very different. The main diplomatic chamber on Harmony's edge was built to impress visitors. The ceiling reached high above, decorated with stars from 1,000 worlds. Gravity fields allowed beings from different planets to stand together without floating, away, or being crushed. Translation systems turned every word into sounds or thoughts that all species could understand. Today, the chamber was full of tension. Ambassador Minji Park sat at the human delegation table, her hands folded calmly in her lap. Beside her, Captain Jihoon Kim looked relaxed, but his eyes watched everything. Commander Do-Yun Lee studied the alien delegates like he was planning a battle. The 5 alien species had arranged themselves to show their power. Admiral Korath of the Zektar sat in a chair made from the armor of destroyed enemy ships. His scarred face showed no emotion as he stared at the humans. Crystalline Lord Velthis floated above her seat, her crystal body catching light from the chamber's stars. Hive Mind Nexus. Kylix occupied multiple chairs, its insect form spreading across several seats as it thought with 1,000 minds. Deep Singer Morgan rested in a tank of water that rippled with her movements. The Scinari delegate was barely visible, existing more in thought than in physical form. "Let us discuss the terms of human protection," Admiral Korath began, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The Zektar Empire offers security for your home world. In exchange, we require mining rights to your asteroid belt and military bases on your moon. The Velthari Collective offers technological advancement," Velthis added, her crystal voice ringing like bells. "We will share our knowledge of energy manipulation. In return, we need access to your star's solar radiation for our ships. The Crix Collective offers biological enhancement." Kylix buzzed with 1,000 voices. "Your species could be improved, made stronger and faster. We only ask for genetic samples and breeding rights." Deep Singer Morgan's voice created waves in her tank. The Mordani Federation offers trade agreements and protection of your shipping lanes. We require exclusive rights to your ocean worlds and water supplies. The Piscinari delegate spoke directly into everyone's minds. We offer wisdom beyond physical reality. Your consciousness could be elevated to new levels. We need only access to your population's mental patterns. Ambassador Park listened to each offer with diplomatic patience. When they finished, she spoke carefully. These are generous offers, but they all assume that humanity needs protection. Perhaps we should discuss whether that assumption is correct. The chamber fell silent. Then Admiral Korath began to laugh. His deep voice boomed off the walls. Soon the other aliens joined him. Even the normally silent Piscinari seemed amused. Are you suggesting, Admiral Korath said between laughs, that humans can protect themselves? Your entire fleet couldn't. Scratch the paint on one of our escort ships. Your technology is centuries behind ours, Velthus added. Your weapons are crude chemical explosives. Your defenses are basic metal plating. What protection could you possibly provide? Keelix's compound eyes focused on the human delegation. We have studied your military capabilities. 3 small ships with minimal armament. A home fleet of perhaps 50 vessels, none larger than our fighter craft. This is not military power. This is barely adequate for system patrol. Dr. Sunho Choi, sitting behind the main delegates, looked fascinated by the aliens' dismissive attitude. He had been taking notes throughout the meeting, documenting every detail of their superiority complex. Perhaps, Minji said calmly, we could arrange a demonstration. Each species could showcase their finest warship. Then you could judge our capabilities fairly. The aliens looked at each other with amusement. A demonstration? Of human military power? This would be entertaining. A demonstration, Admiral Korath repeated slowly. Yes, I think that would be educational. For humans. The Zektar Empire accepts this challenge, he continued, standing to his full impressive height. We will show you our dreadnought bone, Crusher. It has destroyed the fleets of 6 different species. Its main guns can crack a moon in half. The Velthari Collective will present our flagship Crystal Dominion, Velthus announced. It channels the power of stars themselves. No shield has ever withstood its energy beams. The Crix Collective will deploy our bioship Swarm Mother, Keelix buzzed. It gives birth to 1,000 fighter craft and grows stronger with every battle. It survives. The Mordani Federation offers our battlecruiser Abyssal Tide, Deep Singer Morgan said, her voice creating ripples. Built to fight in the depths of gas giants, it can survive pressures that would crush normal ships. The Piscinari delegates' thoughts touched every mind in the room. We will reveal our mind ship Thought's Edge. It exists in multiple dimensions and controls fleets with pure thought. Captain Jihoon Kim checked his watch, a movement so casual that only his fellow humans noticed it. When would you like to hold this demonstration? Tomorrow, Admiral Korath declared. Each species will present their most advanced warship. We will show you what real military power looks like. Perhaps then you will understand why you need our protection. And what will humanity present? Velthus asked, her crystal form shimmering with amusement. Your little escort ship, the soul's pride? We'll send word to our fleet, Jihoon said simply. I'm sure we can arrange appropriate representation. This caused another round of alien laughter. Appropriate representation? From a species with 3 tiny ships? Excellent, Admiral Korath boomed. This will be the shortest military demonstration in galactic history. Perhaps 5 minutes for the humans to realize their inadequacy. Commander Do-Yun Lee spoke for the first time in the meeting. You seem very confident in your technology. Confidence based on proven superiority, Keelix replied. The Crix Collective has consumed the technology of dozens of species. We know what works and what does not. The Zektar Empire has conquered 200 star systems, Admiral Korath added. Our ships have never been defeated in battle. The Velthari Collective has maintained peace for 1,000 years, Velthis said. Our energy weapons end conflicts before they begin. Engineer Hyejin Yoon, who had been quiet throughout the meeting, looked up from her datapad. Impressive records. May I ask when you last faced a truly challenging opponent? The aliens exchanged glances. It was an odd question. Challenging opponent? Deep Singer Morgan asked. We are the challenging opponents. Other species challenge us and lose. The last real war was centuries ago, Admiral Korath admitted. Since then, most species surrender when they see our fleets approach. Wise. Of them, the Senari delegate thought to the room. Resistance against superior force is illogical. Hyejin nodded, as if this confirmed something she had suspected. So you haven't actually tested your tactics against innovation in a long time. Innovation? Velthis laughed, creating crystal chimes. What innovation could possibly threaten proven technology? Jihoon's communicator buzzed softly. He glanced at it and nodded slightly. Our fleet command confirms they can provide suitable representation for tomorrow's demonstration. One ship, Admiral Korath said with satisfaction. Against 5 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy, this will be educational indeed. Very educational, Minji agreed, though her tone suggested she might mean something different than the alien admiral. The meeting concluded with the aliens in high spirits. They looked forward to tomorrow's demonstration. Finally, the humans would see reality. They would understand their place in the galactic order. They would accept protection, gratefully, and stop pretending to be equals. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Admiral Korath called out to them. One more thing, humans. When your ship is destroyed tomorrow, do not be ashamed. Many species have learned this lesson. The wise ones accept it quickly and become valuable members of our alliance. We'll keep that in mind, Captain Kim replied. Walking. Back to their quarters, the humans remained silent until they were safely away from alien listening devices. They really think this will be easy, Do-Hyun observed. They've been the strongest for so long they don't remember what competition feels like, Sunho said. That's about to change, Taemin added quietly. Jihoon checked his watch again. 8 hours. Through the station's windows, they could see the alien fleets preparing for tomorrow's demonstration. Massive ships moved into position. Weapons systems powered up for testing. Crews prepared to show the humans what real military technology looked like. None of them noticed the faint energy signature approaching from deep space. Something was coming to Harmony's edge. Something that would change everything the aliens thought they knew about warfare. But the aliens were too busy congratulating themselves to look beyond their own certainty. Tomorrow would teach them a lesson about the dangers of overconfidence. The demonstration zone stretched across empty space near Harmony's edge. No planets, no asteroids, nothing that could be damaged when the alien species showed their military power. 5 massive warships moved into position, each one representing centuries of technological advancement and military superiority. Captain Ji-hoon Kim stood in the observation deck of the space station with the other human delegates. Around them, alien spectators filled the viewing areas. Everyone wanted to see the humans learn their place in the galactic order. The demonstrations will begin with the Velthari Collective, announced the station's communication system. Presenting their flagship, Crystal Dominion. The Velthari ship was beautiful and terrible. Made entirely of living crystal, it caught light from the distant star and turned it into rainbows that danced across its surface. The ship was enormous, nearly 10 kilometers long, with crystal spires that reached out like the branches of a frozen tree. Crystalline Lord Velthis spoke from her position on the command platform. Observe the power of stellar manipulation technology. Our ship does not merely use energy, it commands it. Crystal Dominion began to glow. The light started at its core and spread outward, turning the entire ship into a beacon that could be seen across star systems. Energy collectors along its hull opened like flowers, gathering radiation from the nearby star. Target: Asteroid field designated Alpha 7, Velthis announced. Distance: 50,000 kilometers. On the viewing screens, the humans could see a cluster of space rocks floating in the distance. They were big chunks of metal and stone, each one the size of a small mountain. Crystal Dominion's main weapon began to charge. The ship's crystal spires aligned themselves into a perfect formation, creating a focus point at the ship's front. Energy flowed through crystal channels like liquid light, building power that made the space around the ship shimmer with heat. Primary beam, ready, Velthis said. Firing. The weapon released a beam of pure stellar energy. It was not just light, but concentrated starfire that could melt through any known material. The beam crossed 50,000 kilometers in an instant and struck the asteroid field. The result was spectacular. The asteroids didn't just explode, they vaporized. Solid rock turned to gas in microseconds. The energy beam created a small star that burned for several seconds before fading, leaving nothing but glowing plasma where the asteroids had been. The alien spectators made sounds of approval. This was what real weapons looked like. Impressive, Ambassador Minji Park said quietly. Dr. Sonho Choi was taking detailed notes, studying the energy patterns and beam composition. Next demonstration, the Crix Collective, the station announced, presenting their bio-ship Swarm Mother. The Crix ship was alive. That wasn't just a description, it was literally a living creature the size of a city. Its hull breathed like skin, expanding and contracting with each heartbeat. Organic weapons pulsed along its surface like veins carrying blood. Eyes the size of buildings tracked movement around the ship. Hive Mind Nexus. Keelix spoke with 1,000 voices acting as one. Biological warfare represents evolution perfected. Our ships grow stronger with every battle. Observe the power of adaptive combat. Swarm Mother began to change. Its hull split open in dozens of places, revealing internal chambers filled with smaller craft. But these weren't built ships. They were born. Fighter craft emerged from the bioship like bees from a hive, each one a living creature designed for space combat. Deploying combat swarm, Keelix announced. 1,000 fighter organisms, each one capable of independent thought and action. The fighter craft spread out in perfect formation. They moved like a school of fish, turning and diving together, as if controlled by a single mind, which in a way they were, all part of the Crix collective consciousness. Target: automated defense platform, Keelix said. Standard Zektar military installation. A metal platform appeared in the distance, bristling with weapons and armor. It was the type of fortress that protected important Zektar worlds, designed to hold off entire fleets. The Krix fighters attacked like a living storm. They swarmed over the platform, each one finding weak points in its armor. Some used acid weapons that ate through metal. Others fired biological projectiles that grew inside their targets. Still others simply rammed themselves into sensitive systems, sacrificing their lives to disable important components. In less than 5 minutes, the massive fortress was reduced to floating debris. The surviving fighter craft returned to swarm, mother and were absorbed back into its hull, their combat experience adding to the collective knowledge. Biological adaptation in real time, Calyx explained. Each engagement makes us stronger. The human delegation watched in silence. These weapons were beyond anything Earth had ever faced. The Mordani Federation will demonstrate next, the station announced, presenting their battlecruiser Abyssal Tide. The Mordani ship looked like it belonged underwater, not in space. Water flowed across its hull in impossible patterns, held in place by fields that the humans didn't understand. The ship's weapons were designed to work in liquid environments, but somehow functioned perfectly in vacuum. Deep Singer Morgan's voice created ripples across all the viewing screens. Our vessels are built to survive in the depths of gas giants, where pressure can crush normal ships like paper. Observe deep pressure combat systems. Abyssal Tide positioned itself near a large chunk of space debris, the remains of an old space station. The ship's hull began to glow with bioluminescent patterns, like a deep-sea creature preparing to hunt. Plasma. Torpedo array, armed, Morgan announced. Pressure differential, maximum. The ship fired weapons that looked like glowing jellyfish made of plasma. These torpedoes moved through space in spiraling patterns, leaving trails of charged particles behind them. When they struck the debris, they didn't just explode, they created implosion fields that compressed matter into impossibly dense points. The old space station, which had been kilometers across, was crushed into a ball no bigger than a house. The gravitational forces involved were tremendous, warping space itself around the target. Deep pressure weaponry, Morgan explained. Designed to function at the bottom of ocean worlds, where pressure reaches millions of pounds per square inch. The demonstration continued with the Zektar Empire. Admiral Korath's flagship Bone Crusher was exactly what its name suggested, a massive fortress designed to break anything that opposed it. Kinetic warfare, Admiral Korath announced with satisfaction. Simple, direct, effective. Bone Crusher was covered in armor plates 3 meters thick. Its weapons were equally straightforward, massive rail guns that fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. No energy beams, no exotic matter, just pure kinetic force. The ship targeted an artificial moon that had been brought in for the demonstration. The railguns fired in sequence, sending projectiles the size of buildings toward their target at a significant fraction of light speed. The impacts were devastating. Each projectile hit with the force of a nuclear weapon, but delivered all at once instead of in an explosion. The artificial moon cracked, then shattered, then simply ceased to exist as solid matter. Kinetic penetration, Admiral Korath explained. No shield can stop solid matter moving at sufficient velocity. Finally, the Synari presented their mind ship Thought's Edge. This demonstration was the most unsettling, because half the time the ship wasn't completely there. It phased in and out of reality, existing in multiple dimensions at once. The Psinari delegate spoke directly into every mind watching. Physical reality is only one layer of existence. True power comes from mastering all dimensions. Thoughts. Edge began to demonstrate its capabilities. Drone ships appeared around it, not launched from bays, but simply materialized as the mind ship thought them into existence. These drones moved without visible propulsion, controlled entirely by psychic force. The target for this demonstration was a fleet of automated ships representing a typical enemy formation. The Sonari drones didn't attack with weapons. Instead, they simply made the enemy ships stop working. Electronic systems shut down. Crew members would have fallen unconscious if there had been any. The ships became dead metal floating in space. Mental domination of technological systems, the Sinari explained. Consciousness controls matter, will shapes reality. When all 5 demonstrations were complete, the alien spectators buzzed with excitement. They had just witnessed the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. No enemy could stand against such power. Admiral Korath's voice boomed across all communication channels. These are the forces that maintain galactic peace. These are the ships that protect civilization from chaos. Now, humans, show us what you call military power. Captain Jihoon Kim checked his watch one final time. Our representative should be arriving shortly. The aliens waited with amusement. After seeing real warships, what could the humans possibly show them? Some primitive chemical rocket? A metal box with basic weapons? They were about to find out that they had seriously underestimated humanity. In the distance, something was approaching the demonstration zone. Something that would make the aliens reconsider everything they thought they knew about power. The space around Harmony's edge was still glowing from the alien demonstrations. Bits of vaporized asteroids drifted like stardust. The artificial moon was now just a cloud of debris. The destroyed fortress had been reduced to metal fragments that caught the distant starlight. The alien delegates sat in their viewing areas, satisfied with their display of power. Each species had proven their superiority. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their ships were invincible. Their technology was beyond human understanding. Now they waited to see what humanity would bring to oppose such might. Admiral Korath leaned back in his command chair, a smile spreading across his scarred face. I almost feel sorry for them. After seeing real warships, they must know how hopeless their situation is. Crystalline Lord Velthus chimed in agreement. Perhaps they will simply surrender now, save themselves the embarrassment of revealing their primitive technology. Hive Mind Nexus Helix buzzed with collective amusement. The humans have been very quiet during our demonstrations. They must be processing the reality of their inadequacy. In the human observation area, the delegation watched space through the massive windows. Captain Jihoon Kim stood calmly, his hands behind his back. Ambassador Minji Park sat with perfect diplomatic composure. Commander Do-Yun Lee studied the debris from the alien weapons tests, taking mental notes. Captain, Lieutenant Taemin Kang said quietly, I'm picking up an energy signature approaching from deep space. Distance? Jihoon asked without turning. Around. 50,000 kilometers and closing. Should be visible soon. Dr. Sunho Choi was still reviewing the data from the alien demonstrations. Their technology is impressive, but it follows predictable patterns. Energy weapons, biological systems, kinetic force, pressure manipulation, psychic control. All very straightforward approaches. Engineer Heejin Yoon nodded. Powerful but not particularly creative. They've become comfortable with their standard methods. Comfort can be a weakness, Commander Do-hyun observed. The station's communication system activated. Attention all observers. The human representative vessel is approaching the demonstration zone. Every eye in the station turned to the viewing. Screens. Aliens pressed against windows to get their first look at human military technology. What they saw confused them. A single ship emerged from the darkness of deep space. It was sleek and angular, about the same size as the alien escorts they had seen around the station. Nothing impressive. No massive crystal spires like the Velthari ships. No organic breathing hull like the Krix vessels. No water flowing across. Its surface like the Mordani craft. No thick armor plating like the Zektar dreadnoughts. No dimensional phasing like the Sinari mineships. Just a simple, clean design that looked almost elegant in its simplicity. That's it? Admiral Korath laughed so hard that his chair shook. That's their battleship? It looks like an oversized shuttle. I can barely detect any energy readings, Velthis said, her crystal voice ringing with amusement. Their power output is less than our fighter craft. The alien spectators joined in the laughter. After seeing ships that could crack moons and control mines, the human vessel looked like a toy. Keelix focused compound eyes on the approaching ship. We detect no significant weapon systems, no heavy armor, no exotic matter manipulation. How does this qualify as a military vessel? On the human ship's bridge, Fleet Admiral Gaeon Nam stood at the command position, watching the alien fleets through the main screen. Her crew worked quietly at their stations, professional and focused. Admiral, Captain Wonho John reported from the tactical station. We're receiving multiple scans from the alien vessels. They're trying to analyze our capabilities. Let them scan, Admiral Nam said calmly. They'll see exactly what we want them to see. Commander Unji Lim looked up from the weapons console. All systems ready, Admiral. Stealth fields are active. True configuration is hidden. Good. Begin with standard approach protocols. Let's not startle our new friends just yet. The human ship, designated Incheon's Fury, moved toward the demonstration zone with steady, unremarkable acceleration. It made no aggressive moves, showed no hidden weapons, demonstrated no advanced capabilities. To all appearances, it was exactly what it looked like, a simple vessel that was probably Earth's best attempt at a warship. Back on the station, the alien delegates were already discussing how to handle the humans after their inevitable defeat. We should be gentle with them, Deep Singer Morgan said, creating sympathetic ripples in her water tank. They cannot help being primitive. The Sinari delegate projected thoughts of agreement. Crushing their spirit completely would serve no purpose. They must retain enough hope to be useful workers. Admiral Korath nodded. One demonstration shot past their ship should be sufficient. When they see a real weapon in action, they will understand. Captain Kim's communicator buzzed with an encrypted message. He read it quickly and checked his watch. Admiral Nam requests permission to begin the demonstration. The station's communication officer, an efficient Velthari crystal being, opened channels to all ships. Human vessel, you are cleared to begin your military demonstration. All observers are ready. Admiral Nam's voice came through clearly on all frequencies. Thank you for this opportunity. Humanity is honored to show our capabilities to such distinguished representatives. Her tone was perfectly respectful, even humble. The aliens approved. At least the humans understood their place. We will begin with basic maneuvers, Admiral Nam continued. Then proceed to weapons testing and defensive systems. Inchin's Fury began a series of simple movements. It turned left, then right. It accelerated and decelerated. It performed a basic loop that any first-year pilot could execute. Nothing impressive. Nothing that showed advanced technology. The alien spectators grew bored quickly. This was what they had waited for? Basic flight maneuvers that their cargo ships could perform better? How long is this supposed to last? Admiral Korath grumbled. Are they going to show us every possible direction their ship can move? Perhaps this is advanced for them, Velthus suggested with crystal chimes that sounded like laughter. They may be very proud of these simple maneuvers. On Incheon's Fury, Admiral Nam watched the alien reactions on her screens. Their dismissive attitudes were exactly what she had expected. Tactical assessment, Commander Lim? She asked. 5 major warships, multiple escort vessels, standard formation designed for intimidation rather than combat effectiveness, Yunji reported. Their weapons are powerful but predictable. Energy systems show charging patterns we can exploit. Bioships have nervous system vulnerabilities. Kinetic weapons are fast but follow ballistic paths. Pressure weapons require specific environmental conditions. Psychic systems operate on detectable frequencies. Excellent. Captain Jian, what's our stealth status? Holding perfectly, Admiral. They're scanning us continuously but only seeing our outer shell. All primary systems remain hidden. Very good. How much longer should we let them think they're superior? The aliens are growing impatient, reported the communications officer. They're expecting us to demonstrate weapons soon. Admiral Nam smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Then let's not disappoint them. Begin reveal sequence. Yes, Admiral. Initiating reveal sequence now. Something changed about Incheon's Fury. It was subtle at first. Just a shift in the way light reflected off its hull. But the alien sensor operators began to notice anomalies in their readings. What is that? Keelix buzzed with confusion. Their energy signature is fluctuating. On the viewing screens, the human ship appeared to shimmer slightly, like heat waves, rising from hot pavement. Probably a malfunction in their primitive systems, Admiral Korath said dismissively. These humans can barely keep their ship running. But Dr. Sunho Choi, watching from the human observation area, was smiling. He knew what was about to happen. Admiral Nam, he said quietly to his fellow humans, is about to give them a lesson in advanced warfare. The aliens were about to learn that appearances could be very deceiving, and that humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to surprise. The shimmer around Incheon's Fury grew stronger. What had looked like a simple warship began to change before the eyes of every observer at Harmony's Edge. Admiral Gaeon Nam stood on her bridge, watching the alien reactions on her screens. Their confused expressions were exactly what she had hoped to see. Aegis, she said to the ship's artificial intelligence, drop stealth fields and reveal true configuration. Acknowledged, Admiral, replied a calm, synthetic voice. Dropping stealth fields, revealing primary systems, estimated alien shock value maximum. The transformation of Inchin's Fury was dramatic and impossible to ignore. The ship's hull began to shift and expand. What had appeared to be a modest vessel revealed itself to be something much larger. Sections of the hull slid apart to show hidden weapon systems. Additional structures unfolded like mechanical flowers opening to sunlight. In 30 seconds, the human ship tripled in size. Gun ports opened along its flanks. Energy projectors emerged from concealed housings. Shield generators became visible as they powered up to full strength. Sensor arrays unfolded like wings, giving the ship an almost alive appearance. The alien observers fell silent. This was not the primitive vessel they had been mocking. "Impossible," Admiral Korath whispered. "How did they hide such mass?" Our sensors showed a small ship. Crystalline Lord Velthis was no longer chiming with amusement. "The energy readings are significant, much higher than we detected." Hive mind nexus. Helix focused all its compound eyes on the human ship. "Stealth technology beyond our understanding. The collective is impressed." On Inchen's Fury, Commander Yunji Lim reported from her weapons station. "All systems online, Admiral. Primary weapons charged and ready. Defensive systems at full power." "Thank you, Commander. Captain Jian, please announce our demonstration parameters." Captain Wanho Jian activated the ship's communications array. His voice carried clearly to every observer. "Inchen's Fury will now demonstrate adaptive warfare doctrine. We will show defensive capabilities against each type of weapon system represented here today." Admiral Nam took control of the communication channel. "We thank our alien colleagues for their earlier demonstrations. They were very educational. Now we will show you how humans approach military challenges." The first test target materialized in space, a perfect replica of the Velthari Crystal Dominion, created by advanced holographic systems. It looked identical to the real ship, complete with energy collectors and crystal weapon arrays. Simulating. "Velthari stellar energy attack," Admiral Nam announced. "Aegis, analyze and prepare countermeasures." "Analysis complete," the AI responded. "Velthari energy weapons operate on predictable frequency patterns. Adaptive shielding will learn and counter the energy signature in real time." The holographic Velthari ship fired its main weapon, a beam of concentrated stellar energy identical to what had vaporized the asteroid field earlier. The energy beam struck Inchen's Fury's shields and simply stopped. But that wasn't the impressive part. The impressive part was what happened next. The ship's shields began to change color and pattern, adapting to the incoming energy. Within seconds, they weren't just blocking the attack. They were absorbing it. The energy that should have destroyed the human ship was being converted into power for the ship's own systems. "Adaptive shield technology," Admiral Nam explained to the stunned observers. "Our shields learn from each attack and become immune to that energy pattern. The more you shoot at us, the stronger our defenses become." The real crystalline Lord Velthis was speechless. Her supposedly unstoppable weapon was not only useless against the human ship, it was actually making it stronger. The second test involved a holographic recreation of the Krix swarm mother. Thousands of biofighter craft emerged from the simulated ship and swarmed toward Inchen's Fury, demonstrating point defense against multiple small targets, Admiral Nam said. Turrets emerged from hidden positions all along the human ship's hull, but these weren't normal weapons. Instead of firing bullets or energy beams, they projected fields of crackling electricity that formed a deadly net around the ship. The holographic biofighters flew into this field and simply ceased to exist. The electrical discharge disrupted their nervous systems, causing them to shut down instantly. Those that survived the initial contact were tracked by impossibly fast targeting systems that could hit thousands of targets simultaneously. In less than a minute, every single fighter craft was destroyed. The swarm that should have overwhelmed the human ship had been completely neutralized. Point defense grid, Admiral Nam explained, capable of tracking and eliminating up to 10,000 individual targets per second. Hive mind nexus helix made a sound like static electricity. Its collective consciousness was trying to process what it had just witnessed. The third test simulated the Mordani pressure weapons. The holographic Abyssal Tide fired its plasma torpedoes at the human ship. These weapons created localized gravity, fields that should have crushed Incheon's fury like an empty can. Instead, the human ship did something that violated the aliens' understanding of physics. It generated its own gravity fields that intercepted the incoming weapons and turned them back on themselves. The plasma torpedoes imploded before they could reach their target. Gravitational field manipulation, Admiral Nam said casually. We can create localized gravity wells, redirect incoming attacks, or even create artificial black holes if necessary. Deep Singer Morgan's water tank was no longer rippling with amusement. It was vibrating with fear. The fourth test recreated Admiral Korath's kinetic weapons. The holographic Bone Crusher fired its massive rail guns at the human ship. Solid. Projectiles moving at incredible speed should have punched through any armor. Incheon's fury simply made them disappear. Temporal displacement fields, Admiral Nam explained. The projectiles are still traveling toward us, but they're doing it in a different time stream. They'll arrive about 1,000 years from now. The kinetic rounds that should have destroyed the human ship were simply removed from the present moment and sent into the far future. Admiral Korath's jaw dropped open. His most powerful weapons had been rendered completely useless. The final test involved the Sonari mind control systems. The holographic Thought's Edge attempted to take control of Incheon's Fury's systems using psychic force. Nothing happened. Quantum encrypted artificial intelligence, Admiral Nam said. Our ship's systems operate on quantum principles that exist outside normal space-time. Psychic control is impossible because there's nothing for psionic energy to connect with. Sinari Delegate, for the first time in centuries, experienced genuine confusion. Its mind powers simply couldn't find anything to control on the human ship. Commander Hyunwoo Park, monitoring the defensive systems, reported to Admiral Nam. All alien attack types successfully countered, Admiral. Ship integrity at 100%. Power levels actually increased due to energy absorption. Excellent. Now let's show them what human weapons can do. The demonstration zones had been cleared of debris from the earlier alien tests. Admiral Nam selected a target. An asteroid field similar to the one the Velthari had vaporized. Demonstrating human weapons technology, she announced. This is our standard patrol ship armament. Incheon's Fury fired a single weapon. It wasn't an energy beam, a kinetic projectile, or any type of exotic matter. It was something much more advanced. The weapon reached across space faster than light and struck the asteroid field. But instead of destroying the asteroids, it converted them. The solid rock and metal transformed into pure energy, which was then transmitted back to the human ship as additional power. Matter conversion technology, Admiral Nam explained. We can convert any form of matter into usable energy. Weapons, armor, entire ships, all can become fuel for our systems. The aliens watching this demonstration felt something they hadn't experienced in centuries. Fear. That's not possible, Admiral Korath said, his voice barely a whisper. Your technology violates known physics, Velthus added, her crystal voice shaking. The collective cannot understand these principles, Keelix buzzed frantically. Admiral Nam's voice carried across all communication channels, calm and professional. This concludes our basic demonstration. I should mention that this is not our most advanced warship. Incheon's Fury is a standard patrol vessel. We brought it because it seemed appropriate for a friendly demonstration. The silence that followed was absolute. Every alien in the observation areas stared at the human ship with a mixture of awe and terror. Their mighty fleets, their unstoppable weapons, their advanced civilizations, all of it was suddenly obsolete. The species they had planned to protect had just revealed technology that made them look like children playing with toys. Captain Ji-hoon Kim, watching from the station, finally allowed himself to smile. The aliens were beginning to understand the reality of their situation. Humanity was not seeking protection. Humanity was offering it. The silence around Harmony's edge was deeper than the vacuum of space itself. 5 alien civilizations that had controlled the galaxy for centuries stared at a single human ship that had just made their most advanced technology look primitive. Admiral Korath was the first to break the silence. His voice, usually booming with confidence, came out as a whisper. How long have humans possessed this technology? Admiral Gaon Nam's response was calm and matter-of-fact. This ship was commissioned 18 months ago. It represents our current standard for patrol vessels. Current standard? Crystalline Lord Velthus asked, her crystal voice cracking like breaking glass. This is not your most advanced design? No. This is what we send to handle minor diplomatic missions and routine patrols. Our actual warships are considerably more capable. The alien delegates looked at each other with growing horror. If this was humanity's basic technology, what did their real military look like? Hive mind Nexus Helix buzzed frantically as thousands of minds tried to process this information. The collective requests clarification. How many vessels of this capability does humanity possess? Several hundred in active service, Admiral Nam replied. We're building more as needed. Deep Singer Morgan's water tank was vibrating so violently that waves splashed over the edges. Several hundred? Ships of this power level? The Incheon's Fury class represents our standard design, yes. We have approximately 400 in active service with more under construction. On the station, alien military leaders were frantically calculating fleet strengths in their heads. Each of their civilizations possessed perhaps 50 to 100 major warships. Humanity had just revealed a fleet that could destroy all of them combined. Admiral Nam continued the demonstration with casual efficiency. Aegis, please show our observers some additional capabilities. Certainly, Admiral, demonstrating faster-than-light weapon systems. A target appeared at the edge of the system, a derelict space station 50 light minutes away. Under normal circumstances, it would take nearly an hour for light to travel that distance. Incheon's Fury fired a weapon that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. The beam reached across space instantly, striking the target before the light from the weapon. Firing had even left the ship. The derelict station simply ceased to exist. FTL weapons, Admiral Nam explained. Useful for engaging enemies across star systems. Range is effectively unlimited. Admiral Korath felt his legs give out. He sat down heavily in his command chair, staring at the tactical implications. You can attack targets in other star systems, instantly. Yes. Geography becomes irrelevant when your weapons move faster than light. The second demonstration was even more disturbing. Aegis created a cloud of space debris, chunks of metal, rock, and ice floating randomly in the demonstration zone. Demonstrating self-replicating construction systems, Admiral Nam announced. Incheon's Fury released what looked like a small cloud of glittering dust. The particles spread out and began touching the debris. Within minutes, the random chunks of matter were transforming into perfect geometric shapes. The debris was being converted into raw materials and then assembled into useful objects. Self-replicating. Nanotechnology, Admiral Nam explained. We can convert any matter into any other form. Asteroids become ships, planets become fleets, the universe becomes our construction material. Velthis's crystal form was flickering with distress. You can build fleets from raw matter? In real time? The construction rate depends on available materials and energy. A typical asteroid belt can be converted into a battle fleet in approximately 6 hours. The aliens were beginning to understand the true scope of human capabilities. This wasn't just advanced technology. This was the ability to reshape reality itself. But Admiral Nam wasn't finished. Aegis. Demonstrate temporal manipulation. Acknowledged. Creating temporal displacement field. Space around Incheon's Fury began to shimmer with strange energies. The ship seemed to exist in multiple moments simultaneously, appearing solid in some places and ghostly in others. We can manipulate the flow of time around our vessels, Admiral Nam said. We can accelerate our own time stream for faster movement and reaction times, or slow down enemy attacks by placing them in temporal fields. A holographic enemy ship appeared and fired at Incheon's Fury. The weapons moved so slowly, they looked like they were suspended in thick liquid. Meanwhile, the human ship moved at normal speed, easily avoiding attacks that had been slowed to a crawl. Time manipulation, Admiral Nam concluded. We can make our enemies move like statues while we operate at normal speed. The Sinari delegate, who had been silent throughout the demonstration, finally projected thoughts into every mind present. The message was simple and terrifying. These beings have transcended physical limitations. They are beyond our comprehension, Commander Yoonji Lim reported from her station. Admiral, the alien fleets are showing signs of extreme distress. Several ships are powering up weapons, but their targeting systems can't lock onto us. Expected. Response, Admiral Nam said calmly. Fear often leads to aggression. Aegis, are we in any danger from the alien weapons? Negative, Admiral. Based on our analysis, their combined firepower cannot penetrate our basic defensive systems. Threat, level, minimal. This casual dismissal of their entire military might was the final blow to alien confidence. Ships that could crack moons were being dismissed as minimal threats. Captain Wonho John looked up from his tactical display. Admiral, the Zektar Dreadnought Bone Crusher is charging weapons. Admiral Korath appears to be having some kind of emotional breakdown. Poor fellow, Admiral Nam said with what sounded like genuine sympathy. This must be quite a shock for him. Open a channel to their flagship. Admiral Korath's image appeared on the main screen. His face was pale, his eyes wide with shock and growing desperation. This is impossible, he said, his voice breaking. Our ships are the most powerful in the galaxy. We have conquered 200 star systems. Very impressive, Admiral Nam said kindly. Humanity admires your accomplishments. We hope we can learn from your experience. Learn from us? Korath laughed, but it was the laugh of someone whose world had just collapsed. You just demonstrated technology that makes us look like primitives. What could we possibly teach you? Wisdom, Admiral Nam replied seriously. You've maintained peace for centuries. That requires more than just military power. It requires understanding, diplomacy, and restraint. This seemed to calm the alien admiral slightly. At least the humans weren't dismissing their civilizations entirely. Dr. Sunho Choi, watching from the station, spoke quietly to his fellow humans. Notice how Admiral Nam is handling this. She's not threatening them or demanding surrender. She's treating them with respect. Ambassador Minji Park nodded. That's the human way. We don't conquer. We invite cooperation. On the bridge of Inchin's Fury, Admiral Nam continued her careful diplomacy. We should also mention that humanity has been aware of your civilizations for some time. We've been watching and learning from your example. Watching us? Keelix buzzed in alarm. For how long? About 200 years. We've had stealth observation posts in most of your major systems. Nothing intrusive. We just wanted to understand how galactic civilization worked before we introduced ourselves. The implications hit the aliens like physical blows. Humans had been secretly observing them for 2 centuries. Their military bases, their trade routes, their tactical doctrines, all of it had been studied and analyzed. Why didn't you reveal yourselves sooner? Deep Singer Morgan asked, her voice creating worried ripples. We weren't ready, Admiral Nam said simply. We needed time to develop appropriate technology and understanding. We didn't want to disrupt the peace you had built, Commander Hyunwoo Park reported from his station. Admiral, we're receiving surrender offers from 3 of the alien fleets. Surrender offers? Admiral Nam looked puzzled. Why would they want to surrender? We're not at war. They appear to believe that conquest was our intention. Admiral Nam activated the general communication channel addressing all the alien ships. There seems to be some misunderstanding. Humanity is not here to conquer anyone. We're here to apply for membership in the Galactic Council. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. Membership? After demonstrating such overwhelming superiority? Yusao, still want to join us? Admiral Korath asked in amazement. Of course. Why would we want to rule the galaxy alone? That sounds like a lot of work. We'd much rather cooperate with experienced civilizations like yours. For the first time since the demonstration began, some of the aliens started to relax. Humanity wasn't planning to enslave them. They were offering partnership. But the balance of power in the galaxy had changed forever. The species that had once offered protection to humanity were now the ones who needed protection, and humanity was offering it freely. The main diplomatic chamber of Harmony's Edge had been transformed. Where once 5 alien species had sat in positions of superiority, looking down at primitive humans, now they gathered as equals around a circular table. The change in atmosphere was dramatic and complete. Ambassador Minji Park sat with perfect diplomatic composure, but inside she felt a deep satisfaction. The mission had succeeded beyond their best hopes. Not only had humanity been accepted into the Galactic Council, but they had been offered a leadership role. Admiral Korath looked like a different person. The arrogant military commander who had mocked human technology now spoke with careful respect. Ambassador Park, the Zektar Empire would be honored to establish formal defense agreements with humanity. Our forces could provide excellent support. For your patrol fleets, the irony was not lost on anyone. The species that had planned to protect humanity was now asking for protection. Crystalline Lord Velthis chimed softly, her crystal voice no longer ringing with superior amusement. The Velthari Collective requests access to human energy manipulation technology. We offer our stellar engineering knowledge in exchange. The Crix Collective desires biological research partnerships. Keelix buzzed eagerly. Our adaptive systems could benefit greatly from human enhancement techniques. Deep Singer Morgan created gentle ripples in her tank as she spoke. The Mordani Federation would welcome human exploration of our deep ocean worlds. Perhaps our pressure technologies could complement your gravitational manipulation. The Sinari delegate projected thoughts of cooperation and mutual benefit. Even their mental powers seemed humble compared to human technological achievements. Doctor, Sunho Choi, now sitting at the main negotiation table instead of in the background, was documenting everything. The complete reversal of galactic power dynamics would be studied by historians for centuries. "These are generous offers," Ambassador Park said graciously. "Humanity values cooperation and knowledge sharing. We would be happy to establish research partnerships with all of your civilizations." Captain Ji-hoon Kim, who had watched the aliens' dismissive attitudes change to desperate respect, spoke up. "We should establish joint patrol routes. Human ships can provide security while your vessels handle diplomatic and cultural missions." Engineer Hyejin Yoon had been studying the alien technology specifications. "There are areas where our technologies could complement each other perfectly. Velthari energy systems with human matter conversion, Crick's biological adaptation with human nanotechnology. The possibilities are exciting, but it was Fleet Admiral Gaian Nam, participating by video link from Incheon's Fury, who addressed the real issue. "Before we discuss specific partnerships, we need to establish trust. For 2 centuries, humanity has observed your civilizations without revealing ourselves. That was necessary for our development, but it wasn't entirely fair to you." "Admiral." Korath nodded slowly. "You could have conquered us at any time. Instead, you chose to learn from us. That shows wisdom." "Wisdom and restraint," added Velthus. "Qualities that are more valuable than raw power." Admiral Nam continued, "Humanity proposes a gradual integration process. We will share our defensive technologies freely, but our more advanced capabilities will be introduced slowly as trust develops." This generous offer surprised the aliens. They had expected humanity to demand immediate submission or tribute. Instead, they were being offered genuine partnership. "What do you require from us?" Deep Singer Morgan asked cautiously. "Your experience," Ambassador Park replied simply. "You've maintained galactic peace for 1,000 years. You understand. Diplomacy, trade, cultural exchange. These are areas where humanity has much to learn." Dr. Sunho Choi pulled up holographic displays showing potential collaboration projects, joint research stations, combined exploration missions, cultural exchange programs, technology sharing agreements. We could create something greater than any of our civilizations could achieve alone. The aliens studied the proposals with growing excitement. Instead of being conquered, they were being invited to help build a new kind of galactic civilization. Commander Do-Hyun Lee, who had remained quietly observant throughout the negotiations, finally spoke. "There's something else we should discuss. Humanity's technology advancement didn't happen in isolation. We learned from studying your civilizations. In many ways, you helped create what we've become." This revelation seemed to comfort the aliens. They weren't being replaced. They were being recognized as teachers and partners. Lieutenant Taemin Kang looked up from his communication console. "I'm receiving messages from across the galaxy. Word of today's demonstration is spreading. Other species are requesting contact with humanity." "Expected," Admiral Nam said from her ship. "News travels fast when the balance of power shifts. We'll need to establish protocols for first contact with new species." Ambassador Park nodded. "We should create a joint committee. Representatives from all our civilizations working together to handle new contact situations." The formal vote on humanity's membership in the Galactic Council was unanimous. But more than that, the aliens voted to establish humanity as the Council's primary security force. The species that had once bragged about their battleships now competed to be humanity's closest allies. "There is one more matter to discuss," Admiral Nam said from her ship. Humanity has detected several hostile forces beyond your current borders, species that have been watching your civilizations and planning attacks. This news sent shockwaves through the alien delegates. They thought their military superiority guaranteed safety. What kind of hostile forces? Admiral Korath asked, his tactical mind immediately focusing on the threat. 3 major powers. The Devourers, who consume entire star systems for resources. The Machine Collective, artificial intelligences that convert organic life into computational material. And the Void Walkers, beings from another dimension who view our reality as raw materials. The aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. These were threats beyond anything they had faced before. How long before they arrive? Velthus asked, her crystal form flickering with worry. The Devourers are approximately 50 years out. The Machine Collective is 70 years away. The Void Walkers are more difficult to predict, but probably within a century. Deep Singer Morgan created urgent ripples in her tank. Our combined fleets could not stop such enemies. No, Admiral Nam agreed, but our combined fleets with human support could not only stop them, but could prevent future threats from ever reaching this galaxy. The Sinari delegate projected thoughts of hope mixed with fear. The future would bring dangers, but also unprecedented cooperation. Ambassador Park stood and looked around the chamber. Today marks the beginning of a new era. Not human dominance, but true partnership. Together, we can build something that no single species could achieve alone. 6 months later, Captain Ji-Hoon Kim stood on the observation deck of the new Joint Command Station orbiting Harmony's edge. The station was a marvel of combined technology. Velthari energy systems powered Crick's biological computers, while Mordani pressure forges shaped materials that human nanotechnology assembled into impossible structures. The view outside showed the new reality of galactic civilization. Human patrol ships worked alongside alien vessels, their crews mixing freely. Joint research projects had already produced breakthroughs that amazed even human scientists. Cultural exchange programs had created friendships across species barriers. Most importantly, the galaxy was safer than it had ever been. Human ships now patrolled the outer rim, watching for signs of the approaching threats. Early warning systems extended far beyond the galaxy's edge, giving decades of preparation time for any conflict. Admiral Korath approached Kim, no longer the arrogant warrior who had mocked humanity, but a respected ally and friend. The joint fleet exercises went well today. Your people are excellent teachers. Your tactical experience has been invaluable, Kim replied. Human technology is powerful, but your wisdom prevents us from making dangerous mistakes. Ambassador. Park joined them, looking satisfied with the day's diplomatic meetings. The trade agreements with the Outer Rim species have been finalized. 3 more civilizations want to join the Council. Any problems? Kim asked. None. It seems that word of our partnership has spread. New species see the benefits of cooperation over conquest. Dr. Sunho Choi walked up with a data pad full of research results. The Joint Biological Enhancement Project is showing remarkable progress. Crick's adaptive systems combined with human nanotechnology could extend lifespans across all species. Engineer Hyejin Yoon was close behind, equally excited. The Velthari energy research has exceeded all expectations. We might be able to create pocket universes for resource generation within the next decade. Admiral Nam's voice came through the communication system from her new flagship, now one of hundreds of human vessels protecting the galaxy. Long-range sensors have detected the Devourer scout ships. They're still 48 years out, but they've definitely noticed our expansion. Are they changing course? Ambassador Park asked. Actually, they appear to be slowing down. Our intelligence suggests they're reconsidering their approach to this galaxy. Captain Kim smiled. Good. Maybe they'll decide to find easier targets. And if they don't, then they'll learn what the previous galaxy